What if just a few pills each night could transform your sleep, making every day feel like the best you've ever felt?
Would you try it?
I've explored all sorts of sleep hacks, smart mattresses, mouth tapes, and even melatonin. While some methods have worked, others have left me with even worse sleepless nights. We'll dive into that a bit later.
Now, there's a new player in the field.
The 8 Sleep Elixir, promising a night of sleep so good, you wake up ready to conquer the world. So I gave myself 7 days. 7 days to see if this elixir could help me wind down faster, sleep deeper, and sustain high energy levels throughout the day. But I didn't want to just rely on my own experience, because sleep isn't one size fits all. What works for me might not work for everyone. So I roped in Bryce, my husband, to take the sleep elixir too.
Do you have a guess?
You sleep melatonin.
You're a ruiner!
I got it right?
Well, not really. It's not melatonin.
Just to see if it actually does something, or if it's one of those supplements that sounds great but doesn't really deliver. To track our results, we'll be measuring sleep quality using my 8 Sleep Pod for sleep data, energy levels, how we feel throughout the day, our mood because we know sleep affects our emotional well-being, and then we have focus, how sharp or mentally on we felt throughout the day.
So, will the sleep elixir be our new go-to?
Or just another overhyped supplement? Let's go find out. As I was about to take the pills, I realized the instructions said to take 1 to 3 capsules a day.
I mean, that's a pretty big range.
Because the dose can depend on a number of things, really. With so many variables at play, how do we determine the right dosage for ourselves? So I sent the Sleep Elixir team an email. While waiting for a reply, I started with just 1 capsule.
So did you notice anything different last night?
I think I feel better.
Really?
I don't know. I just feel a little bit more rested.
Okay. Well, did you check your sleep data? Not yet. Well, I checked mine. I had the best score in weeks. Do you feel better?
100.
Oh my god, you got 100? What the hell? That's crazy. I think that's crazy.
The sleep elixir actually seems promising. But I also know better than to get excited after just one night. If I'm being honest, supplements make me nervous because of my experience with melatonin supplements.
Melatonin is actually a hormone our bodies naturally make when it starts to get dark. It slowly rises in the evening, kind of like our body's internal bedtime cue. Once it reaches a certain level, it sends the signal, hey, it's time to sleep. But over a year ago, I had just moved to the US. My partner and I had totally different sleep schedules, and I wasn't adjusting smoothly. So without even thinking twice, I started taking melatonin supplements every night for months. And it worked until I stopped.
It was pretty bad.
The first 2 weeks off melatonin, I couldn't sleep. Not even tired at bedtime. We're talking 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., just lying there, miserable. And I don't know why that happened, because experts say melatonin isn't something addictive. It's not something our body gets chemically dependent on like a drug, but I definitely had a reaction to it. I did see something about a psychological reliance, so maybe that's it. It's really hard to say. But I felt like I had to relearn how to fall asleep on my own, and that wasn't a fun time. After going through the melatonin nightmare, I knew I had to be more mindful about what I put in my body. So before taking the sleep elixir, I did a deep dive into its ingredients, because the last thing I want is to mess with my sleep instead of actually improving it. Let's break down the 4 main ingredients and why they're supposed to help. First up, L-Tryptophan. It's an essential amino acid, which means our body can't make it. We have to get it from food or supplements. Here's what it does. L-Tryptophan helps the body produce serotonin, which your body later converts into melatonin when it gets dark. So instead of flooding our system with melatonin, L-Tryptophan helps our body build its own at the right time, in sync with our internal clock. Next, we've got Ashwagandha. It's an adaptogen, meaning it helps our body respond better to stress. Here's how it can help our sleep. It helps reduce cortisol, which is our body's main stress hormone. When cortisol stays high, like when we're wired or anxious, it makes it harder for our body to wind down. Ashwagandha can help lower those levels so our nervous system can relax. That means it becomes easier to fall asleep and stay asleep.
So while it doesn't knock us out, it helps remove one of the biggest blockers to good sleep, stress.
The other ingredient is Tart Cherry. Tart cherries naturally have a tiny bit of melatonin in them, closer to what our body naturally makes. So we're not flooding our system with melatonin. We're just giving it a gentle nudge.
It's more like, hey, the sun is going down. It's time for us to wind down.
That's what makes it different from typical melatonin supplements, which are usually super concentrated and more like,
okay, brain, bedtime now.
Then we have nature's Valium, Valerian Root, used for centuries as a natural sleep remedy. This herb works by increasing GABA, a calming chemical in the brain that tells our nervous nervous system to relax. More GABA means fewer racing thoughts, less stress, and an easier time falling and staying asleep. There's also research showing fewer nighttime awakenings.
And that part got me so excited. In my last video about mouth taping, I shared how it helps so many areas of my sleep, but not all. One of the things I wanted to work on, those sleep awakenings.
It's just this thing I really want to figure out. So could the both of this be the perfect duo? Maybe. After going through the 4 ingredients, I do feel a bit more reassured. The sleep elixir takes a more supportive approach, working with our body and supporting the systems to ease us into sleep naturally. Of course, most of these ingredients still need more long-term research, and this isn't medical advice. But for me, this combo feels like a gentler way to improving sleep. After 48 hours, I finally got a response from the 8 Sleep team. This is what they said. So I kept taking the sleep elixir, tracking everything. By day 3, I started noticing something pretty exciting. My wake-ups were dropping 0, 1, 1, and I've never seen that before.
That Valerian Root really must be doing its thing.
But that wasn't the only thing I was noticing. Every night within 30 minutes of taking the elixir, I felt this shift. Kind of like a calm settled in. Like it's just boom. It's not a drop, but it's like psh. This isn't a good explanation. I thought that I was imagining it because Bryce wasn't experiencing the same thing. But then I remembered Ashwagandha, Valerian Root, both known for its calming effects, right? So maybe I'm not imagining it. Also, everyone reacts to supplements differently. I can think of at the top of my head right now 3 possible reasons why I'm feeling it and he's not. First, I'm smaller in size, right? And we're taking the same dose. Second, I have always been someone who's so sensitive to little changes. And lastly, I am not proud of this in any way, and I'm working on this. But my baseline stress is constantly high. And Bryce, on the other hand, is 99% just chill. So those 3 is just like probably why I'm feeling that shift and calm. So at this point, I was ready to commit. And with the long trip coming up, I figured it was the perfect time to stock up. That's when I noticed something. 1 bottle, $79. But if you subscribe, it's just $59. So I did what pretty much anyone trying to save money would do. I placed 3 separate subscription orders and canceled them right after they shipped. Let's just say life did not set the stage for the perfect sleep experiment. We were 7 days out from a big move, racing to make our flight. Every day was a cycle of waking up, working, packing, then crashing. No workouts, takeouts every meal. Because of all of that happening, I didn't get to document the sleep elixir journey as much as I wanted, but we kept track of our results every single day. This untimely situation will no doubt have an effect on the results, but even with that, we noticed some interesting things across the 4 categories, starting with focus. Weirdly enough, we were still on it, and I don't mean just functioning, I mean like eyes on the prize, on a workflow golden days. All week, I stayed between a 7 and 9, and Bryce's score were a little lower, but still steady. And I find that weird because it felt like my brain had 0 space for anything but survival mode. And for people packing past midnight every night, we had no business having as much energy as we did. During the day, our energy rating stayed between a 7 and 10. Don't get me wrong, we were so tired. By the end of the day, we would eventually turn out into zombies, but I feel like that's normal if you passed your bedtime like 2, 3, 4 hours after that. But considering everything and how we did that over and over every day, I'd say our energy was freaking great. Now, here's something that surprised me.
Big life transitions always get the best of me.
I'm talking about
really getting overwhelmed and emotions all over the place. That is my tendency, and I am working on improving that.
But this week, I was less reactive, more focused, and honestly, kind of proud of myself for handling things better than usual. Considering Ashwagandha and Valerian Root typically takes longer to show noticeable effects, often several weeks of consistent use, feeling the effects so soon is pretty wild. Now, when it comes to sleep itself, here's what I notice. I'm someone who usually has vivid dreams, nightmares, and they leave me waking up wired, stressed, and definitely not rested. But this week, my sleep was different. Every night was calm, peaceful, just real deep rest. Even my night wake-ups, which I've been tracking religiously, were nearly gone at the start. That's basically unheard of for me. Now that didn't last, which wasn't what I was hoping for, but to be fair, my whole routine was a mess. So part of me wonders, would the results have been different without the chaotic sleep patterns and a 10 out of 10 stressful week? It's hard to say if the sleep elixir caused all of what I experienced or if it contributed to it, but for something that's meant to reduce stress, ease anxiety, and set the stage for better sleep, it came into my life at the exact moment I needed it most. If you're into small shifts with big changes, here's another experiment that I tried that completely surprised me.